Sharpening my knife up. How many times do you do this? Take your knife, about a 45-degree angle-ish, and then just sharpen your knife before and after every time you use it. We're gonna be cutting some chicken up today, so you need it sharp. There's a big football game on tonight. Thursday night football, New York Giants, New England Patriots. Sadly, the first time Eli Manning will not be playing against the Patriots. 2-0 in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, just so everyone knows. It's a stressful game. The best way for me to deal with the stress of a Giants game is by making something delicious. And we haven't talked about a football meal so far this year. So today we are going to make buffalo chicken, but just a little bit different. I was a picky eater as a kid, and I think at heart I still am. And not so much as I don't eat certain things, but more so is like I like to think about the final bite when I cook. So today we're making chicken lollipops. And the reason why I'm obsessed with lollipops is because it has that thought in mind. We're using only chicken drumsticks today. And part of the thing about drumsticks is you have all this leg meat here that you're gonna hold on to, but you're not really going to eat. There's not really much there to eat. All of it is at that thick part at the end. So by making lollipops, you're removing all of that part so that it's actually easier to eat the meat of it. Nothing pulls from the thin part of the leg. You have a place to hold on to it that's not all sauced up and messy. And I don't know, it's just one of those things it's got the final bite in mind. To me, that's what can make or break food. So that's what we're doing today. I've made buffalo chicken wings before. I've covered how to make buffalo wing sauce and blue cheese dressing. To be honest, I generally don't make homemade wing sauce because Frank's Red Hot makes it already, and I love it the way it is. It's more of a lazy thing for me. I'm making it with Frank's Red Hot anyway. I'm just gonna remove a step. If you can't get Frank's and you still wanna know how to make a wing sauce, I'm gonna link the recipe down below so that you can make your own buffalo sauce with Frank's or any other hot sauce that you might have. And as well as my blue cheese dressing, which we're gonna quickly run over today. So let's just get right into it. It's almost game time, so we got no time to waste. Now you can use a big 8-inch chef's knife that you always have. It works, but if you have a smaller knife, this is a 6-inch, I believe. So this is just a little bit smaller. It's gonna be a little bit easier to work with these chicken. What we're gonna do is really simple. Just pay attention, follow along, and you'll be able to do this just like any other chef can in a top-notch restaurant. Drumstick, stand it up, pull that skin down because you want as much skin as you can. Take your knife about where the meat starts to really get thick, and then make an incision, and then spin and cut. Now see that? Now you can grab the meat like that and use your knife and just scrape. It's gonna scrape all those tendons off the bone, and it's gonna make it easy for you to just find this little groove right here. You wanna find that groove and then just pop it out. You may have some stuff kind of hanging out there. You can go in there and cut it, but that's gonna cook and pretty much like burn off in the oven, so you don't need to worry about that. Now we have a drumstick, and we want it to be able to stand up at the end, so we can just basically even out the bottom. Now we just have really nice presentation on this drumstick, and it's beautiful. Now you have something to hold on to. You can take a nice bite, and it's just really clean and it looks really nice. So this is what we're going with. If you see a little tendon in there, you can just cut it. There are a couple there, but otherwise, it should all just come off nice and cleanly. We want an oil that's not really gonna burn. And everyone keeps asking me about oils, so I've been using an avocado oil, which has a smoke point of like 500 degrees, which is way hotter than you really ever need, and it's good for you. So it's like a frying oil that has benefits like an olive oil, so I'm gonna try and start using avocado oil. Problem is it's just a little expensive. I'm trying out oils, seeing which one makes the most sense. So we got some avocado oil. I'm just gonna go into the pan. I'm gonna throw the chicken in. Get them nice and coated. We're gonna make sure that skin is nice and taut so it gets crispy too. And generally I've been cooking these all summer on the grill, and I've been standing them up so that they get a nice smoke all the way around. And I've tried this recipe standing them up in the oven, and it just doesn't work the same as laying them down. So we're going to cook them laid down, but we wanna make sure that skin is nice and tight. And now we're gonna season these guys. Just gonna go in with some salt. You don't wanna go too heavy, just a nice light seasoning. So now I'm just gonna lay them down so that the skin has some nice contact with the pan. And we're gonna try and get some nice color on the skins. And you can kind of point the wings into the center, because like always, we know the outer rim of a sheet tray, at least in my experience, cooks a lot hotter than the center. So I want that thickness on the edges, and that part we don't really need to cook in the center. Obviously, I'm making a small batch for myself. You just make more. This is going into 425 degree oven. It's been preheating. We want to see color. These cannot really be overcooked. At about 165 degrees, these will be fully cooked, but we don't want them at that temperature. We want to cook them beyond that to about 200 degrees. Just like we would anything that kind of pulls apart. That's gonna create this tender bite through chicken drumstick that is gonna be more delicious than cooking it at 165. So we have a thermometer, we're just gonna check. We're gonna flip occasionally, get brown all over on all sides of the skin, and pull it right when it gets around 195, 200. Now, like I said, we already went over how to do this. I'm just gonna show you how I wing it. Everybody's always asking me for recipes, and I want you to understand the goal in your kitchen should be get off of recipes. Recipes is like a bad addiction for you. It's like a drug. You don't need it though. You have everything you need right on your taste buds and in your mind with your common sense. You know what you like. You have to find that journey on your own. This show isn't for you to just make everything that I make exactly how I make it. You may like it a little different, and I want to give you the tools to kind of figure out how to get it to where you like it. So I'm just gonna make it. I'm gonna wing this. I'll provide a recipe because I know you all like that, but I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna show you the recipes don't matter. I always start with equal parts mayo and sour cream. That's why it's good to have a stocked pantry. You always got backup. It's eyeballing it. I don't know if that's exact or not, but I also don't care. What you realize is that your taste buds can correct any mistake. So the recipe really does not matter. Then, once we have our mayo and our sour cream in, we're just gonna add a little bit of buttermilk until it becomes the right consistency. Actually, first I'm gonna add in a few tables of Worcestershire sauce. But that's too thick. So then I'm gonna use buttermilk to help create the right consistency. A thick runniness that I wanna create. And here, I'm gonna mess it up just to show you. I put too much buttermilk in. Problem. It's a little too runny for me now. What am I gonna do? Let's think about it. I got thicker things. I have some sour cream here. I have some mayo. Maybe I could throw some mayo in. A little bit of sour cream. Throw it back in. There we are. Now we're back at the right consistency. Very thick. It'll hold to your finger, but barely. So now what I wanna do is add some onion powder. Just eyeball it. Maybe a teaspoon, half teaspoon, teaspoon, I don't know. Same amount of garlic powder, and then the same amount of mustard powder. A little salt, pepper. I like the taste of it. Seasoning is right. Consistency is where I like it. Now I add my blue cheese. Just like a half cup, quarter cup. And then I like to just kind of smash it in there. Make it kind of become one with the sauce. And just so you know, I'm not a big blue cheese fan. So this isn't me being like, oh, I love blue cheese. I can't wait to eat it in this. But with buffalo wings, it really is a necessity. And as long as I don't have big chunks of blue cheese that I bite onto, I don't mind it in a blue cheese dressing. It's basically just a ranch dressing with blue cheese in it. That's what blue cheese dressing sort of really is. If you don't like blue cheese, then you're just making ranch. Now, if you really want to, you can add some vinegar and then a little bit of honey. I don't usually put vinegar in, but I wanted to see what it was like. It is very rich, and I feel like that vinegar kind of cuts a little bit. So I don't think I put vinegar in my original one, but I'm gonna put it in this one and I'll write it into the recipe. So now I got my blue cheese dressing ready. I know I made a lot. I wanted to kind of show you how it works, what happens if you kind of make a mistake, if you put too much liquid in, how to get it thick again. But you could store this and it should last a couple days. Maybe make a salad with it. Figure out a way to use it. So we're gonna set this aside. So we got our wing sauce ready. Let's go check on the drumsticks and see if we got any color yet. I just raised the temperature a little bit. They're cooking a little slow for me. It's a judgment call. It's one you might have to make as well, depending on your oven. 450, I'm looking for color on at least one side before I start flipping them. I forgot to dry the chicken wings. The most important part. Take paper towels, dry them right before you apply that oil. I wasn't thinking and I forgot. So the chicken skin is struggling to get crisp. So now I gotta cook that moisture out and wait for it to get crispy. It's probably gonna take a little bit longer than I want to. I'm anticipating I'm gonna need to cook these over 200 degrees beyond where I want to. So that's what's good about these, is I made a mistake, but these are forgiving. And as a result, I'm still gonna get delicious chicken. It's gonna be great. It could potentially be on the dry side because I need to cook it a little bit longer and further to get that skin crispy. So, you know, this is a lesson learned. I'll make sure to write in the recipe that you dry the chicken skin before you season and oil it, and before it goes into the oven. Even better to get it into the refrigerator and let it dry out. That's how you're gonna get real crispy chicken skin. Let's see if we can make it happen even with our mistake. So we're starting to get some color now. I had to jack up the heat to 500 degrees when I usually cook at 425. But as you can see, we're starting to get a little color going. Leave that, let that cook until it unsticks from the pan. Same with this one. So, pretty happy with how I was able to get these despite not drying out the skin. These are nice, they're nice and tender. I'm gonna let these rest and just kind of simmer down. We're gonna prepare a buffalo sauce so we can just dip these guys in the sauce and then they're perfect. So I'm just gonna take a drumstick and literally dunk it into the buffalo sauce. Two bites, clean off the bone. See, it's still moist. And I definitely overcooked it. Does that make sense now? Same with chicken wings, chicken thighs, drumsticks, legs. Basically everything other than the breast is delicious when it's kind of pushed beyond its cooked through temperature and pushed a little bit farther till it just becomes a little softer, a little more tender. The ability to just kind of take a bite and not feel any resistance whatsoever. It's easy and fun to eat because I don't have any nonsense here. Usually I'm like pulling against tendons and ripping stuff. This is how I like it. Well, go Giants. Not holding my breath for this one. It feels like, you know, we gotta kind of rebuild this year. so I'm tempering my expectations. I do love that chicken recipe. It is delicious. That's all that I have. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.